Minority Leader to interact with Chris and Bree. Senator Chris Duenas. Senator, good morning. Half a day.
Good morning, Jason. Good morning, Chris and Bree, and thank you for this opportunity once again. And thank you for all of you who have served, and especially to the families who the ultimate sacrifice that we celebrate, of Memorial Day of those who died for our freedom. So related Memorial Day, and for those on the mainland, like you said, we're remembering with you today.
Well said.
Right on. Let's just get right into it then.
Or will we?
I'm sorry. We were talking, Sabrina and I were talking before we came on about this whole American Rescue Plan, spending plan that we have yet to see from the governor.
Right.
Right. So you guys met with her. Before you met with her, you came up with your whole priority spending list, and now Speaker Terlahi is doing. There's going to be a public hearing process for this priority spending plan. But Bree, actually, she's the main rememberer around here. Thank God. She was when the CARES Act funding came out. Before it even came out, they had a plan for it. Remember?
It was
a proposed budget.
Yeah.
It was something in paper.
No, the Treasury came out with their guidance,
right.
And then they
meaning Adelup.
Yeah, and then they came out with their budget spending plan for $118 million.
Correct. So it might not have been like before, but it was something in black and white that you could touch and read and analyze. But I don't know. I mean, we're not in government, Senator, so let's just ask you, is it weird at all that we have not seen a single piece of paper from Adelup saying this is how we're going to spend the $600 million?
Yeah, it's very different, and I think it's actually becoming very frustrating at this point. It's interesting because we find out in bits and pieces, like when last week when we had the hearing for public health and the Guam Memorial Hospital, public health came forward and basically deleted $17 million from its budget request. And when we said, what are you doing? I mean, that's general fund revenue normally. And you guys remember there was this huge battle for the current fiscal year over, underfunding of public health. And here they went in and basically deleted 17 million. So, we're getting that money from the CARES Act. So I was like, from the rescue plan. And I was like, okay, I guess we're starting to see the plan unveil itself. And then GMH came in and basically said they also, removed $10 million from their budget request. Now, they didn't attribute that completely to the rescue plan, but they basically said we're doing some aggressive collecting and the like, and we have some federal fund opportunities. I don't know if that meant the rescue plan, but so that right there, just in those two public hearings, was $27 million that we can essentially go in and remove from the general fund appropriations for this fiscal year. So it's bewildering at best, and I really hope that the governor just comes forward soon and unveils what she wants to do, because as we've discussed, so we can go down the list, right? There's 20 million, or maybe it's 30 million now for GVB that's been discussed. There's another 18 million for Matapeng revitalization. There's 38 million, I think, that's been discussed for GIDA, for additional business support, small business support. 300 million for the hospital. So yeah, there's no plan, but there's a piecemeal plan kind of dripping out. And I think it's important for us to kind of get back on the same page and figure out what is, what the plan really is.
But what is your response, though? Because she did say yesterday in an interview with the media after the Memorial Day commemoration at the PD Veterans Cemetery regarding that the ARP plan and waiting for public comments because other governors had questions about the interim final rule from the U.S. Treasury. And so on the Federal Registry, the deadline to accept public comments is not until July 16th. And the governor was, I want to be accurate. I want to make sure that, her investment plan is correct and follows all the guidelines, and appeared to seem like, that the plan might not even come out till after that time. And even with the
Yeah,
RISE
so-
Act, it was, she said, well, I'm just following the law, $30 million was what was appropriated, and that's what it's going to be, despite the fact that it went from the RISE Act to the All RISE Act and included government of Guam employees and retirees.
Yeah, so I'm a little confused by that too, and the reason why is because we've been talking about following the law kind of since day one with the RISE Act, right? And then it became the All RISE Act, and of course that's done by executive order. So I think just circling back to the beginning, the fact of the matter is this money is completely at the governor's discretion. And so, whatever the governor and the executive branch decides to do, that's their prerogative, right? But the fact of the matter is that we've talked about this plan kind of ad nauseum at this point, and the thing is that even if you're waiting for the guidelines, the most important thing is to have a plan. Whatever doesn't match, then you just you delete it and you move that money somewhere else. So I think that bringing it back to the legislature, I think that's why we want to have this. I'm a co-sponsor to the resolution on our plan that we put together. We want to have this this open dialogue with the people of Guam and through the public hearing process, and we'll see if they agree with priorities that we have lined out. But I think it's important whether the guidelines are clear at this point. I think at least the draft guidelines are definitely clear. You heard in the beginning, I want to put 300 million away for the hospital. Then I'm not sure it can do it. Then, oh no, we went back and read the rules. It's good to go. Lester said it's good to go. So there is a reading of at least the draft, guidance, and it seems like they kind of know pretty much what they can do. So I think it's just important to get it out there so the people of Guam can see it. But in terms of the All RISE Act, I mean, I think having done that by executive order and basically including an entire new class of individuals, I think that, if it requires more than 30 million, then the governor's just going to have to come up with that money, because the thing is that, you expanded that by executive order, which is your authority. So you really should fund it fully to what the RISE Act called for in terms of the $800 and the $1,600 for joint filers. I'm a little curious too. You guys, and one of my favorite directors, Daphne Shimizu, I guess you'll have her on at some point this week, but I'm a little surprised on this application process too. I mean, I'm sure that's a revenue tax thing where it's a disclosure of information issue, but I would imagine that they can basically ascertain all the taxpayers of Guam, what the estimate would be on this. Because, I mean, we've done EIP 3 times now. And obviously, revenue tax has that capability of knowing exactly who qualifies when they have to cut those checks. So I can't imagine it's all that hard for them to go into their system and figure out, who's going to qualify for this RISE Act and what it's actually going to cost.
Do you have any idea what it's actually going to cost? Because we were talking about this last week when you have a government leader that's going to make a big pronouncement like the All RISE Act. It usually would come with an associated price tag or, at least a guesstimate or...
Right. So my understanding was that $30 million that was pegged, I wasn't in the 35th Guam legislature, but my understanding was that that number was pegged to some sort of estimate. So I think that, that was within the ballpark, right?
Yeah.
But as you said, when you're talking about now all government of Guam employees, and you're talking about, federal individuals, under federal fund, those paid with federal monies. And when we're talking about the retirees, if you actually go in to the law, I reviewed it this morning again, the retirees have always been included. It was if you retired in 2020, which made sense because you were employed at that time and you were receiving an income. So retirees are kind of factored in if in the simple reading of the law. And it was just that 2020 period, like I said, which would make sense because you were employed at the time, basically taking all of your full benefits. And so, that's kind of been on the table from the beginning. I think some folks didn't understand that, but if you go in and read it, it's clear. So I think that that 30 million, they hadn't probably pegged that at some sort of estimate, but I can't imagine it's that hard for them to go in and actually get a closer.
You know what I think it kind of seems like is that by making this an application process, that fewer people will actually jump through the hoops and apply for it, because I mean, you're right. It just seems like it should be an EIP kind of thing where you just get it automatically. But I wonder if that's kind of maybe what it is that, if we make people jump through all these hoops, then maybe fewer people will apply, and then we'll be able to cover everybody with the 30 million. I mean, I don't know. No one knows. We don't know what they're thinking because they don't let us know.
Yeah. So the way I heard it from Rev and Tax is they'll soon be placing a notification up of frequently asked questions, and I'm looking forward to that, so we can go in and see how what guidance they're giving. But Chris and Bree, I really think it shouldn't be a very difficult process. I mean, we have earned income tax credit. We have a lot of programs that actually support the working poor, if you will. And so I really don't think it should be cumbersome. If it's an issue of you're authorizing Rev and Tax to use your records and disclose and become part of the program, it should be a simple one-liner, I would imagine. I hereby authorize whatever. It doesn't seem like it should be like going in and applying for a job or something. I think they should make it as easy as possible. I agree with you, Chris. We have these programs that we've been implementing, and it shouldn't be that tough.
One thing, though, the governor said that, she maintained that she's just following the law, and the application process was included in the law.
I read once again, and I'm going to go back and read it again today, but I didn't see anywhere in there that there was an application process. As a matter of fact, what I saw in my simple reading was it was the director and the administration of Rev and Tax that basically has got 30 days to execute this program upon identifying the funding. And so I'll read it again, but I did not actually see a statute. I didn't see it in statute that your job as a taxpayer is to go and apply for this benefit.
Mm-hmm.
It gave the rules and regulations and the guidelines on who qualifies, what that all is. But unless I missed it, I'm going to go back and read it again. I didn't actually see, a section in there that said, that you have to literally go in. Now, when I heard Daphne talking about it, it sounded like it was an issue with whenever you're going to do something, with your taxes, you're authorizing Rev and Tax. That's why I'm thinking it can't be that hard. It can't be this huge application. It's got to be something whereby you just give that authorization, because it's your tax document, right?
Right. I wanted to get a comment. I don't know if we did get one about the failed override attempt.
Yeah, I was disappointed about that.
We're talking about this. Sorry, Senator, just let me give you a little background. We're talking about this failed override attempt, I believe it was Friday, and this was Senator Duenas' bill that would have given the legislature more of a say in extending or ending these public health emergencies that keep getting extended.
Right. So, kind of interesting, because in the comments after voting, we always have extemporaneous comments, and when the speaker got up to make her comments, she mentioned, "I just got the notice that the public health emergency's been extended." And there was a big chuckle on the floor of the legislature because, of course, the override just failed. But I just went through real quickly and I kind of scanned it, and I really didn't find anything new in there. Some discussion of variants and the like, but I didn't see anything earth-shattering to say that this is why we're extending the public health emergency. I was disappointed. We passed Jim Moylan's bill, which is a good bill, for more transparency and accountability in the government, and that was the bill requiring reports every 30 days on emergency procurement. And we all know that fiasco, and we saw that report, from when there was a lot of media pressure and the like to under the CARES Act money to get GSA to disclose, all that emergency procurement, and the public auditor was discussing that. And so it was a great bill. I was thinking, because that bill passed unanimously, maybe my colleagues would have thought, let's go ahead and override this veto so we can do more of this when it comes to interacting with the governor, especially going into our 15th month of declaration of public health emergency. So unfortunately, we failed to get the override, but hey, at least we passed another transparency measure, which requires a report on emergency procurement every 30 days.
I'm looking at the RISE Act, by the way, and it does say filing of claims for
Did you
paying.
find it?
Yeah, under Exhibit A. So it does say eligible individuals must register at the website specified by DRT to fill out and submit the application online, along with the required documents pursuant to Section 5, or must file an application and submit the required documents in such other form as prescribed by the director. And also, it does say the maximum amount allowed to be paid under the program, not including administrative costs, is $30 million.
Right, yeah. So I guess that would be, I mean, if I was you guys, I'd do little like RISE Act sign-up clinics, you know what I mean, to get the word out.
Yeah. You would think that that would go out immediately, since it's been authorized, and especially now that it's an All Rise Act, given the fact that it's a larger pool of individuals, I would think DRT would immediately put something out that, here it is, here's what you need to do.
Mm-hmm.
I think we need to get you Sabrina's glasses.
I better stop speed reading.
So what are we going to do if $30 million isn't enough? We're going to have to go back. I mean, can the governor, because she doesn't need anyone to tell her what to do with ARPA money.
Yeah, so I mean, there's 604 million in the bank, right? And so even another bill that Senator Moylan, myself, and Tony Ada, introduced to actually increase the RISE Act, that was never heard. Maybe this process would have, been more heavily discussed had that bill been heard. But, to me, the governor has that authority. She's basically done this by executive order now. So I think whatever requirement there is, I think people will be disappointed because the law prescribes the 800 and the 1600 for joint filers. I think the people will be disappointed if what that would mean is then 30 million would cover less than what the benefit called for.
Right.
So I think the governor, regardless, because this has been expanded by executive order, I think that regardless, she's going to have to, come up with the money and just whatever the price tag is what the price tag's going to be.
Yeah, but that means that it's going to, whatever the price tag is, if it's over 30, it's going to come from somewhere else. Meaning some other program that was supposed to get money.
Right. So I guess that's even more important why we need to see the plan then, because we'll see what program we'll be shorted to cover that program.
I think there was a media that had FOIA'd for this plan, I want to say, but did they say it was in draft form?
I'm not sure. I mean, maybe it's the wording, right? Maybe you should ask for like the drawdown request.
Something.
Because that's what the CNMI did when the interim final rule came out.
They filed a drawdown request.
Yeah, they filed a drawdown request.
What was very interesting when we spoke with the CNMI governor's office, Kevin Bautista, the spokesperson for the CNMI governor's office, he had said that they were ready to spend the money the day they got it. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Which is way different than what we're hearing from our governor.
They said that they weren't going to wait. They weren't going to wait for the July 16th for public comments to be submitted to Treasury regarding the interim final rule, that they're good to go and, going to make it rain.
Yeah, we're certainly getting different stories. I know that, it was supposedly part of this meeting that happens between the president and the governors, when they get online and discuss, what all the programs and upcoming information that they get guidance from the federal government. And supposedly it was a few governors that were saying that they needed clarity and some more clarification, and that's what was going on. But yeah, it seems to vary from jurisdiction to jurisdiction in terms of the interpretation. But I think it's time to move along and just get her done, right?
Get her done.
Yep.
All right. Well, you know what happens when none of this money's being spent, it just fuels that whole. And I don't even know if it's a conspiracy, but people are always talking about. I mean, you get in the comments, oh, she wants to leave the money in her bank so it could get interest or whatever. So this kind of inaction only fuels that crazy talk. I mean, I don't even know if it's crazy talk. I don't know about banking.
It really does, and particularly with the RISE Act, I think the frustration is that, the comments that I get, on people emailing, calling, catching me on Facebook and asking me a question. It's really like the frustration is the goalpost just keeps moving, and so yeah, I think that it's time to basically just get the information out there, let the folks know what we're doing, and move along, because let's face it, people need this money, and that's what it comes down to. I mean, the whole idea, in passing that legislation was an anticipation of additional federal monies. And we know that, PUA and FBUC is coming to a close in September. This money can only help, and it was designed to help those who basically, didn't have the benefit of a job where even if they didn't go to work, they were getting paid. So, I have to feel for those folks and their anticipation and anxiety over wanting to make sure that, they can secure those resources to help, get along.
Yeah.
So I hope we just get together and settle it and get it moving.
I mean, it's been almost a year, really. It has been almost a year since all these people who were, kind of in the parameters of who the RISE Act will benefit. I mean, Jesus Christ, it's been almost a year. I mean, these people, they still need that money, but they really needed it back then, and I don't understand the whole dragging of the feet. But we got to go, Senator. Go ahead.
Sounds good. Sabrina, you can fact check my speed reading again.
Yeah,
let me see if I remember this one right. December 2021, I think, is the time allotted to expend this fund. So.
Okay.
All rise.
No, you didn't.
He did. He did.
All right, Minority Leader. We'll see you.
Take care. Thank you.
Take it
Take
easy,
care, guys.
Senator.
Thanks.
Yeah. Boy, that was like 37 minutes of frustration, huh? It's got to be frustrating. It's got to be so frustrating. But I feel like we're in God, I hate to say it because I'm not even a crazy person, but the tyranny, does anybody have a say? And just to see these senators try